Now we want to get to political analyst and University of Mary Washington professor Stephen Farnsworth, and he'll have more insight onto what this means in the larger scale. Stephen, thanks for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here.
So you've been watching Virginia politics closely for a while now. When we finally do get the tally tonight, how different do you think you expect the results to be compared to the race for governor in November? Because we know while Democrats are backing yes, Republicans pushing no, it's not that black and white.
Absolutely. This looks to be quite a bit closer than the governor's election last November. I think that this is a little bit more complicated and really does draw only those people most interested in politics. The true political junkies of the left and the right are most likely to participate in an election that is about a referendum, not about candidates.
And so we know the Democrats are framing this as a temporary change. And we've even heard from voters tonight say they're voting yes because of what the president has done in other states. There are a couple of bridges here to cross, though. Do you think voters will trust that this will truly be temporary in Virginia? Or is there a greater concern that once you do break from the norm, it's hard to go back to an amendment?
Well, so much has changed because of the choices that President Trump has made with respect to pushing for redistricting in the middle of the decade in Texas and Missouri, Ohio, and elsewhere. I think that it is a very powerful argument in a state like Virginia, where Trump has lost 3 presidential elections, to say that this is about responding to Trump. That's a powerful message, and it's going to get out those Democratic voters who are going to think about what President Trump has done and think particularly about whether Congress under Republican control or Democratic control is more appealing to them.
And we've been reporting tonight that Virginia Supreme Court will hear arguments about this on Thursday. How real do you think is the possibility that Virginia voters then could pass this tonight and then have their vote overturned?
Well, certainly that's a possibility. Everything depends on what the court would have to rule on this question. There are some arguments that are being made by Republicans that the process was not consistent with state law. And if the courts agree with that, then the election, if it's a yes, would be thrown out. Of course, the court wouldn't have to rule if the measure fails.
And just finally tonight, Stephen, what are your thoughts on this happening here in the Commonwealth and in other states? We see the list of states growing in terms of redistricting maps.
Well, there's no doubt about it. This is not good news for voters anywhere. When you think about what's going on across the country, you really do see an environment in which lawmakers are choosing the voters rather than giving voters real choices about who the candidates are. I mean, really, what we're talking about here is a race to the bottom. Trump started it. Virginia, according to the supporters of the amendment, might be the place that finishes it this year.
All right. Political analyst and University of Mary Washington professor Stephen Farnsworth, thanks so much for joining us tonight and sharing your insight.